In this video, we're taking a look at the Ranger's blessing, LionHeart. We'll decide on whether this blessing is useful for running dungeons, and we'll figure out how to use it to its maximum potential. So if you've been playing a Ranger, you might have noticed that you have the LionHeart blessing. Now the LionHeart blessing seems to be very focused on more of a support kind of Ranger. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It can work out very well, as you'll be able to see in this video. Now yes, it doesn't do as much damage as Wolf blessing or the Crescent Moon blessing. But keep in mind that this is not a game for solo play. It's focused on grouping with people and doing dungeons together. Teamwork makes the dream work. And the Lion blessing makes it so that everybody in your party will love you for it. First off, let's take a look at what class skills I'm using. It's inspired from my older Centurion's Command build, so we're using Flashbang Arrow with Choking Powder. This decreases the enemy's defense by 30% for 10 seconds. If you time it right, for example, I always try to put it on whenever I see the mages amplify, it will wreak havoc. Now for regular skills, I'm using Lightning Arrow, Bottomless Quiver, Erupting Arrow, and Mark. So the main debuffs will be Mark, Flashbang Arrow, and the Scarred effect from your blessing. We'll get more into that later on. Furthermore, I'm using Lightning Arrow because it's a double shot and it procs the Scarred effect. I put on Bottomless Quiver for two reasons. One of them is because we don't use reload, we need something to keep up our arrows. Even though nowadays the arrows regenerate naturally quickly, we still need something to keep up using skills and combos. Bottomless Quiver also helps with proccing Sharp Claws. Lastly, I'm running Erupting Arrow because it's a good all-round skill and it does a lot of damage in AoE and single target. Now, with all that out of the way, let's focus on the main thing for today, the blessing for Rangers called LionHeart. First up is the Threat of the Beast. Now, hitting enemies with rush type or double shot type combos and skills procs Scarred effect. When you put that on enemies, you can stack it up to 5 times and they take increased damage. Now, all your combos are either rush type or double shot, which means every time you use your triggers, you have a high chance of applying the Scarred effect on anything that you hit. That also stands true for your Piercing Volley combo, which means you can apply Scarred effect in an AoE around you. So make sure you use your left trigger or whatever you have it set it up on. Next up, we have Encouragement. Now, whenever you attack enemies that are already under Scarred effect, you reduce your attack power by a certain percentage for a limited time. You also have a high chance of reducing the Bottomless Quiver cooldown by 2 seconds every time you do that. Now, Encouragement doesn't scale very well, so as you can see at level 9 it only reduces 9% of the power. So unlike Threat of the Beast, you shouldn't really focus your breaths on it. Next up, we have Sharp Claws. When you're under the effect of Bottomless Quiver, you increase your chances of applying Scarred. This is very useful for when you're starting off on the boss or a new target. This works well with Threat of the Beast because it helps you get the 5 stacks that you need as quickly as possible. And just like Encouragement, you shouldn't focus your breaths on this. Now, lastly, we have Fatal Hit. All the previous passives up till now have been designed so that you can help other people. The last one, Fatal Hit, is solely for yourself. It's very simple, it increases the damage of your rush type and double shot type combos and skills. As I mentioned before, all your combos are either rush type or double type, so in effect you're simply increasing the damage that you do with your combos. It also increases the skill for double shot type, which is Lightning Arrow. This one is the second passive that you need to focus your breaths on. Now, with all that covered up, let's talk a little bit about why I think LionHeart is a good blessing for a Ranger. As I mentioned in the beginning, it doesn't do as much damage as Mark of the Wolf or Crescent Moon, but it does help everybody melt enemies real quickly. The second reason why I enjoy using LionHeart is simply because it's very easy to acquire and it's very cheap to buy from the marketplace. That being said though, make sure if you plan on using the LionHeart to level up Thread of the Beast and Fatal Hit a lot before you start using it in dungeons. It does scale very well, especially Thread of the Beast, but if you don't level it up to Legendary, it won't be very viable. You maybe would be better off using Wolf or Crescent Moon. Because at the end of the day, you're a ranger, you're supposed to do damage. So, make sure you set up your gear and everything else before you start using this blessing in order to make it as effective as possible. And with that, we conclude our video for today. Thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate your effort. Let me know in the comments below whether you would like to see more general guides or more builds and strats for rangers. You might also consider subscribing to my channel because I post regular videos on builds or guides and updates on the game. That's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Enjoy the rest of the clip and take care, kiting on low health. I'm starting to miss my old build.